Glad you're joining us on this hottest weekend of the year so far. I'm Richard Ransom. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. and 10:35 p.m. we take a look back at the week's headlines, aiming to give the news you've seen all week some context and perspective. It's reasonable to expect the Memphis municipal election, specifically the race for mayor, will be leading off the next 6 Sundays or so before the October 5th election, and it certainly is this week. So as we look at the new developments, we'll talk about who had a good week and who didn't. We'll also bring you the most recent installment of our weekly candidate profiles. Topic 2 this Sunday is the special session of the Tennessee State Legislature. Gun safety reform was the original goal at the state capitol in Nashville, but it's turned into somewhat of a political circus where so far not much of any consequence has been accomplished. And surprise, we learned this week that the Memphis City Council chairman had a $2,000 surprise birthday party and taxpayers paid for it. Not a huge piece of the city budget to be sure, but what is it that some politicians around here don't get about public service? We'll get to all of that in a moment, but first let me introduce my panel. Otis Sanford is ABC24 political analyst. We also have Sam Hardiman, who is a reporter for the Daily Memphian, and political consultant Susan Edler-Thorpe with Thorpe Communications. We have our candidate profiles, as I mentioned, which we start off every week, and we do a different candidate every week. And this week it is Michelle McKissack, the city school board member, and let's hear what she has to say from our Zaria Oates.
Michelle McKissack is a school board member, a lifelong Memphian, and a mom. But whoever is the next mayor of Memphis will have to tackle the city's crime problem, including juvenile crime.
For our young people today, they feel like they don't have anything to do and nowhere to go. And the evidence is there in it to a certain degree. The city of Memphis, I was looking at their website for the Youth Services Division. Well, in that division alone, they say that they serve about 1,500 kids a year. Well, there's 110,000 in Memphis Shelby County schools, so there's a disconnect there.
Aside from crime, McKissack sees a lack of unity as a shortfall for the 901.
The city of Memphis, the county government, you have the public sector, the private sector, everyone's kind of working in silos and not really having that communication working together so that we can pool our resources and be most impactful.
If elected, McKissack plans to work together to increase safety, communicate better, and ensure departments are running efficiently, especially just months after an uproar in the city against the Memphis Police Department following the death of Tyree Nichols.
I think our current police chief did an outstanding job in addressing the Tyree Nichols very swiftly and releasing the video and bringing a calm to our community. But anytime that you have this level of upheaval in the community, you have to take a look at what's best for Memphis, not any one individual. We need to take a look at all sorts of departments within the city of Memphis government.
On the topic of department efficiency, the school board McKissack sits on has been in the spotlight of frustration for more than a year.
I just can't be a part of it anymore.
I don't think this is a wildly unpopular school board. It is extremely time-consuming serving on a school board. There hasn't been a new school superintendent search, a national one, in over a decade. So what we're approaching is trying to make sure we get it right.
Getting it right, that's the plan for crime, the school board, and of course, economic growth.
We need to invest more in entrepreneurs, into small businesses, because they are the driving engines in communities, to give them some of those same sorts of tax breaks that the large corporates entities are getting.
Next week, we'll hear from a candidate who's also held a major front-facing position in the city. In Memphis, I'm Zaria Oates.
All right, and after we run these profile stories, I'd like to get the panel's opinion on how that particular campaign is doing so far. So why don't you give me your thoughts, Otis Sanford?
Well, I think Michelle McKissack is working very hard. She certainly has been very aggressive on social media, especially Facebook. She has gone on the attack a few times, especially against Bonner and to some degree Van Turner, because of the residency issue. And she keeps saying that she is a Memphis resident, born in Memphis and lives in Memphis. And she's raised some decent money. I think, again, her constituency, I'm not sure is large enough to win this election. Plus, she has not been attacked herself yet. And I was told that if she continues to attack Bonner, which she's doing right now, at some point, if she does it in a televised debate, Bonner's going to come back at her. And he's going to come back with the school board issue, because the Joyce Ray sweetheart deal and her saying that she doesn't think the school board is popular, I think people will take issue with that. So she has not been tested yet on the tough issues.
Interesting. What's your assessment, Sam?
I mean, I would disagree with Otis in the sense of how much money she's raised. In terms of, I think at her last filing, which we only have through June 30th, she'd raised a little more than $100,000 and had less than $100,000 cash on hand. That's not enough to really compete, because right now, as we're probably about to discuss, the battle's really on the airwaves. That's how you got to reach voters.
Well, I agree with that.
And she doesn't have right now, at least I haven't seen, the ability to reach them in a meaningful way.
Her and Van Turner not on TV yet. We hear maybe after
Van is on TV.
Is he? Okay, my bad. I haven't seen that yet, but you know, after Labor Day, I know it's going to get hot and heavy on the air, so we'll see what happens with that. Susan, what are your thoughts?
Well, listen, after all the years that especially Otis and I have been in this political arena, I have to hand it to her for jumping into the mayor's race. Anybody who wants to offer themselves up to public service, I congratulate them. But that said, I think that she's an attractive candidate. She's certainly quite articulate. She spent years in the communications field on television, so she can handle herself well. But does she grasp all the issues? I'm not sure she comes across as one who has a real command of the issues and how do we solve crime. Plus, you know, if she got in the race thinking that women, because she's a woman, women will vote for her, she's mistaken. Women long ago quit voting for women because there are women candidates. Also, she's going from the school board into try to get into the mayor's seat. The school board historically is a springboard to the city council, but it's not a springboard to the mayor's office. I think the last school board member that ran for the mayor's office was our colleague Kenneth Whalen, and that didn't turn out too well for him either. So I think that I congratulate her for getting in, but she's a real long shot.
Well, one candidate with deeper pockets who's been on the air pretty much since the beginning now already has a second spot. So I want to put that on the screen here for viewers to see, and then we'll get everybody's comment on the other side. Floyd Bonner.
Shots fired in downtown Memphis.
Let's face it, crime is out of control, and it's going to take a mayor with some backbone to turn the city around. That's why we need Floyd Bonner. As mayor, he'll fight for stricter sentencing laws, hold parents accountable for damage caused by their kids, and put more police on the streets overnight. Right now, the stakes are too high for on-the-job training. We need a mayor who's ready on day one. Floyd Bonner.
I'd like the panel to rate the ads first on a scale of 1 to 10. Did it meet its goal? Did it meet its mark? And what you thought about it? Samuel, let's start with you on this one.
I'm not going to give it a rating, but I think it met the mark. I think that if you were trying to capitalize on the fear that people feel in this community and the concern about crime, that's an ad that plays to it. And if Floyd Bonner's our next mayor, that ad might be a decent reason why.
I absolutely agree. I think that who doesn't relate to the car window being smashed in? If it hasn't happened to us, we know someone very close who it has happened to. And I did like the shot where he's sitting in the seatbelt like he's patrolling the city.
It is coat and tie.
You know, we didn't mention you're a consultant for the J.W. Gibson campaign, but what are your thoughts about the ad?
I thought it was an excellent ad. And for full disclosure, I know the team behind I know the team that's behind this ad. It reminds me of when Jim Strickland first ran 8 years ago, Friday Night Lights, and you saw the football field and the lights went out. It's the same group that's created this ad. It's an excellent ad. Sam is right. It hits to the heart of what people are thinking, people's fears, and I'm going to say I can rate it. I'd give it an 8 or 9. It was an excellent ad.
You have to agree. Otis?
Yeah, and I'm a TV guy, so that means I am a ratings guy too. And I will definitely give it a solid 9. This is a dynamite ad in my mind. I hadn't seen it before today. And it hits all of those hot button issues that you guys just talked about. And starting with that
mass shooting
downtown, which everybody has been talking about, and it has sort of encapsulated everybody's angst and anger over crime. I think Floyd Bonner has tapped into that perfectly with this ad, and it's going to be tough for other candidates to try to change the subject and overtake Bonner, especially on crime.
One other thing, and we're running late on this segment, but I wanted to ask about Willie Herenton, who's kind of the dark horse in this whole race because he's got the name recognition, doesn't have much money at all, and he's okay with that. We're also hitting debate season now. Lots of community forums. Otis, you and I are doing a televised debate September 11th right here. Other televised debates as well. And he's a no-show at all of them. And he's very good about responding and saying, I respectfully say no, but he respectfully says no to all of them. Susan, what are your thoughts about that strategy?
Well, I don't think it's a great strategy. I think that he is running on his name recognition and on his record. He has a really stellar record in his first 8 years as mayor. People, though, don't remember that far back. He needs to remind them. They only remember his last, 7 years, 6 years? And I think that he should get on the debate stage, but the problem is Willie has a different sort of personality, and you either like him or you don't. And a lot of people don't like him, so why should he get up there and get people to dislike him? I think he's going to wind up doing one-on-ones with some of the television stations, but he is not going to subject himself to a debate.
Yeah, Otis, I know you've been critical of the fact that he's not showing up, but there is a strategy behind it.
Oh, it is. He feels like he doesn't have to do it. He's got more name recognition than everybody, probably combined, maybe with the exception of Bonner. And, you know, as much as any journalist can be friends with a politician, I'm friends with him. But he's making, to me, a colossal mistake here. He's not the incumbent. The last time he was on a debate was in 1999 when he was the incumbent, and I could understand him saying I wouldn't do it anymore. But he's not the incumbent here. He needs to tell people that he's able to do this job again, especially young people.
And I want to jump in here real quickly. You have to remember that that when you have name recognition, the positives come with that name recognition and negatives come with that name recognition. He has high negatives, and I think he should get out there and talk to the people. He's older, he's more mellow. He ought to try to persuade people that he's the right man for the job. Otis is right, it's a big mistake.
Sam, as a relatively new resident, you weren't living here when he was mayor. I'm just curious about, as a reporter, your observations of his strategy in this campaign.
Yeah, I mean, to the point about the debate, he actually did sit down with me for a podcast interview. It was a long hour, and then we had another talk. People can read about this in the Daily Memphian soon. We walked along the bluff together. And so what I'll say is, like, he's a really talented politician. And if you were to actually get on that debate stage and take some shots at Floyd Bonner, Paul Young, I think people would see how quick on the feet he is and still is. And that might actually win him some votes. But also, I'm dubious that anyone gets dinged for not showing up to a debate. We're going to have a Republican nominee for president who's probably going to win. He's not going to debate once, probably.
Yeah, that's all true there. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the legislative session in Nashville, the special session that's turned out to be not so special. We'll be right back.